Thank you all. I want to thank Time for bringing this group together, because when I walked into this room and saw friends of mine for years and years and years, folks I've been in the trenches with, working on things from housing to education, from college athletics to baby bonds, working on opportunity zones, I see folks in this room who understand what guts and grit and hard work and resilience is all about. I kind of threw out what I was going to say tonight because I thought I'd just try to give some kind of reward to all of those people who struggle and don't give up, who face defeats but are never defeated. And just simply trace one piece of policy real quick, which is the problem of mass incarceration. It is one of these things that destroyed economic potential in communities, because once you have a criminal conviction for doing things that presidents and senators have admitted to doing, you have 40,000 collateral consequences. You can't even get a job at a fast food restaurant for doing things that kids in college campuses do all the time. And I remember going to work on this issue in college and feeling like it was so insurmountable, because between the time I was in law school and the time I was mayor of the city of Newark, we were building a new prison or jail every 10 days in our country, putting billions of dollars into the warehousing of black folks. In fact, at that time I became mayor of the city of Newark, there were more African Americans under criminal supervision than all the slaves in 1865. But I say that to tell you that this last decade has been hard work. Passed a major piece of legislation liberating thousands of people on the federal level, seeing state after state go to do the work. And over the last 10 years, the black incarceration rate in the United States of America has been cut in half, representing about 40 million fewer people who've experienced prison or jails annually. Black men are now more likely to go to college, graduate from college, than to go to prison, which was on the reverse just a decade ago. And crime rates have fallen faster in states that have experienced the deepest declines in incarceration. I say that to tell you that I knew all my life, I'm the only senator that lives in a black and brown community at or below the poverty line, that there's this idea that the realities before us are the result of moral decay. But I see clearly now, seeing policies changed in states, that a lot of the so-called criminality was the result of people, often fueled by, I think, bigotry, who really thought that crime was someone else's fault and not a lack of creating community and investing in people. And this continuation of trends in our country that saw outright policies coming out of Washington and states that were designed to disinvest in black communities, from redlining to what the Department of Agriculture did to black land ownership in this country, so many of these things that produced outcomes that then are blamed upon African Americans. And so for all of us here who are really focused on closing the black-white wealth gap, I give the example of mass incarceration to say that this is not an implacable wall. This is not an impossibility. We can, when we focus and do the hard work, show results. I was really excited in this past year, and it was written about, thanks to Time, in the little bio, but perhaps it was the most important piece to me, which was this powerful thing called the child tax credit, which we were able to significantly increase, which almost cut the child poverty rate in one policy decision, cut the child poverty rate in our country in half. And then it lapsed because we lacked one vote, just one vote. People say the politics doesn't matter. We lacked just one vote in the United States Senate to make it permanent. And I'll never forget the press conference where my two very dignified colleagues stood up and said their piece, but I was so angry. And I just said that this is a testimony in the United States of America that poverty is not a moral condition, it is a policy choice. And so for all of the people in this room who are fighting to change policies, fighting to get investment in communities that have shown time and time again that you can produce dividends, for all of those who are asking the question of this country that if we are going to be the nation we claim to be, then we have to be involved in this space. Otherwise, the idea of America is a lie. I end with James Baldwin because The brother has sourced me my entire life. And if you ever get discouraged, if you ever get down, if you ever get frustrated, if you ever just get tired, I ask you to just simply read the last 2 pages of the book, The Fire Next Time. Because in the book, he lays out plain the difficulties and the challenges, the distraught, wretched present that he lived in. But Baldwin believed in the power of love. He still never allowed the darkness of this world to snuff out that light that he had inside of him that still believed, as irrational as it might be. And he ends that book, and I'll try to quote it flying from a trip to Nairobi and back. I'm going to do my best to quote it verbatim, but he says, "I know what I am asking you is impossible, but in today's day and age, as in every day and age, the impossible is the least we can demand." And one is, after all, emboldened by the spectacle of human history in general, and American Negro history in particular, because it is nothing less than a perpetual testimony to the achievement of impossible things. And if we, and by we I mean the truly conscious blacks and the truly conscious whites, if we are willing to come together as lovers, then we can save our nation from this wretched nightmare and deliver our nation true salvation. And if not, we're destined to recreate the Negro spiritual made real in the words, "God gave Noah the rainbow sign, no more water, the fire next time." I will say to you all in this room, you give me faith in a different fire, that in this room we could ignite the real torch of the American ideals, that we can cast shadows over the lies of the past and bring about a new truth, that this nation can emerge and tell a story of triumph, tell a story of overcoming, tell a story of hope and healing, and ultimately, we as a people in this nation can say to the world that we are free at last. Free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.